Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we're talking about what happens when we have the moon placed in the 5th house in Leo for Aries Ascendant. So as we know, Aries sets the tone for your whole chart, and so if you have Aries, in Vedic Astrology, I should say, you'll have Leo in the 5th house. So if you have the moon here, that's what we're talking about today. And before we get into all that good stuff, let's just, please, I would encourage you all to go to my website, gebotheshaman.com. That's Gebo, theshaman.com. And there you'll find all my courses, all my services, and everything like that. So if you want a Vedic astrology reading from me, then you can go to my website, gebotheshaman.com. I also offer, birth time rectifications. I offer an astrology certification program course that you can take to become a certified Vedic astrologer. And when you take that course, I automatically, make a website for you upon completion of the certification exam. So if you're worried about, having a online presence or like how a website costs and all that, I handle that for you. So if you're interested, you can go to my website, once again, gebotheshaman.com. All right. So, all right, let's jump into what we're talking about today. All right, so we're talking about moon in Leo in the 5th house. So since we have all these variables, right, we have Leo, we have the 5th house, and the moon in here. So let's just break it down. So what does each part of that mean? So first we'll talk about the moon. What does the moon mean? The moon is your mother. The moon is nurturing, supporting, loving motherly energy, things like that. The moon is also the mind. Not this mind, not the intellect, but rather the emotional heart-mind energy. The thoughts, like inner thoughts, inner feelings, psychology, things like that. And then we have, of course, Leo and the 5th house. So when we talk about Leo and the 5th house, we're really talking about the same type of energy. And there's some differences, but I'll let you know those differences. So Leo is naturally the 5th sign of the zodiac, pertaining to the 5th house. So we have Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo. Libra's the 7th. Leo's the 5th, and so we have it in the 5th house. So Leo is all about government, royalty. It's all about, it's ruled by the sun, so it has to do with the sun. And if you want more information on how this house is being affected, please look at your sun's placement. That's very important. All right. So with this, it's about, well, Leo is royalty, it's government, it's authority, it's also pertaining to fun, joy, play, things like that. It's also 5th house is your dating life. 5th house is your children. 5th house is your creative expression, your creativity. 5th house is also fun, play, joy, things like that. Creative arts, singing, dancing, acting, art in that respect, like performing arts and things like that. you'll see a lot of actors have a strong fifth house, and probably Venus in the fifth house. All right, so then what do we have when we have Moon in Leo in the fifth house? So we're sort of combining these energies to give you a blueprint of what that looks like. So, with this, your mind, your thinking, your feelings will be geared towards fifth house matters. So, with Moon in the fifth house, you might have a fondness for children. You might really enjoy having children or being in the company of children and just being around children, because there is joy in that. There is, the innocence, the joy, the, all that stuff. Fun of life is exemplified by children. And another thing is you could be very creative with this position. You may express your emotions in a very creative way, and so you could be like an actor, a singer. Writing is also associated with this, like writing books, writing novels, things like that. And it's the fun and joy through written expression kind of things. It's it's an interesting placement because this has to do with it's an interesting dynamic because it has to do with like royalty and leadership and authority, as well as fifth house is also education. It's like childhood education, so K through 12 kind of thing. And this is where, this is your education. So you might have a mind for education, it's almost like one of those like people who's very into learning, but they also like, educating themselves, but also into like having fun and play and have, joyful things and being creative, being artistic, being, self-expressive in a very interesting way, like a creative way. Such as poetry, dance, singing, arts, crafts, and things like that. And so when we have this here, well, also, since the moon is representative of the mother, this is actually a really great place to have the moon. It is. It's because the mother is relating to you in a fun way, in a playful way, while also educating you. So it's a lighter mood, it's a lighter tone, and it's a lot to do with like just how we raise our children in a healthy way, allowing them to have fun and also allowing them to, be, being like the example, the parent, the, authority figure when we need to. So we see this dynamic of both authority and playfulness play out here, and that's the sun. And I would strongly encourage you to look at where your sun is placed, because this can add some other elements from other houses, some other energies to this house, and that can amplify or diminish kind of this placement. So, for example, if we had the sun in Capricorn, that's a very strict, serious house. That would kind of dampen the fun energy of the fifth house. And so, whereas if we had it maybe in the fifth house or in like in Aries or in Libra or something like that, where it would be like Aries would be more encouraging or things like that. So, with like sports and competition. So, in fact, talking about Aries, when you have Aries ascendant, well, any ascendant, like that's the glasses through which you're looking at the world through. And so Aries does come into this house where it's maybe fun and joy for you is competing with others. Maybe it's doing like extreme sports or like risky activities with like maybe rock climbing or something like that. But yeah, because Aries also has that potential, that enjoyment of danger and thrill and excitement and competition and life and death and things like that. So, let's see here. So, with this position, wherever the moon is placed, there's always this dynamic of it can go one way or the other. And so you're going to have to look at the phase of the moon. Look at a lunar calendar and see what phase of the moon was in at the time of your birth. And that'll tell you a lot about yourself. So if it's like a new moon, which means it's completely black and invisible and you can't see any light on the moon. If it's a new moon, then I mean those people are tend to be a little bit more prone to like depression and mental illness and things like that. Whereas if it's a full moon, that means that the full light of the sun is shining on the moon, meaning that they're going to have a better grasp of their feelings, their emotions, and also not being too prone to like long periods of depression and things like that. So, that's the thing with this. So you have to look at that for sure. And like, let's say if you did have a new moon, you were born on a new moon or close to that. Generally it's said like if you have, if you're born towards the new moon or like around that time, the sun will be 49% or less shining on the moon. So like you'll have a bigger, darker spot than you'll have a lighter spot. So if that's the case for you, mantras are a great remedy for that. I prescribe mantras on my website, gepodeshaman.com. You can go book a reading from me, and included in your reading, I will give you a personalized mantra and ritual that you can do that'll help you with everything, every aspect of life. Will help become better and change and things like that. And and even if you don't want to do the personalized mantra that I give my clients, and it's different for every client, really based on the chart, on their own individual chart. Let's say you just wanted to do like a general mantra, such as Om Namah Shivaya or Om Gang Ganapataye Namaha, the Ganesha mantra. Yeah, you could do those. You could do the Gayatri mantra, you could do Om Namah Shivaya, you could do the mantra to Ganesha, and those will all work. It's great how those mantras work, because it really does have a strong effect on the mind, and really helps focus the mind and heal the mind. Focus the mind on something that is greater than yourself, that is higher than yourself, and healing yourself. So that's the great benefit to those mantras. As well as with the moon here, it's aspecting the 11th house. So again, depending on, how, like, what your planetary placements are, that's going to affect anywhere, especially if it's aspecting the moon or aspecting the 11th house. 11th house is like, your friends, your network circles and groups and things like that. And so with this, there's an emotional connection to where you take the 5th house and you're like having fun with your friends, and there's an emotional component. Maybe you find someone or a friend group or network that is operating from their heart mind rather than their intellect. A lot of people operate from intellect, but it's really good to operate from the heart mind, which if you buy a astrology reading from me, then I'm going to talk about how to operate from the heart mind with you. That's your moon sign, and that's your spiritual name, and there's a special thing we can do for that. And I talk about that in all my astrology readings. But yeah, good stuff, man. It's really good to have this placement. I feel like it's really healthy and helpful for people. This could especially make you really aware of your feelings, like your deepest, most vulnerable feelings. I feel like you could really dive into that and discover more about yourself and learn more about yourself if you really wanted to dive deep into that. 5th house gives you the ability to do that, because what is the sun? The sun is shining light on all those deep down psychological, emotional issues, and if you want to dive into that, then you can really heal a lot of that stuff. So that's the great thing about this placement. Alright guys, and I do have this placement, but mine is in Aquarius in the 5th house, so. Alright, so with that, I will leave it there. So once again, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button and click on subscribe here. Subscribe right there, and click the bell button so you can be notified of every time I upload a video. You'll be notified, so that way you don't miss out on when I talk about each and every one of your astrology placements. And with that, again, GableTheShaman.com. I do have astrology courses and all kinds of things. Qigong courses, astrology courses, astrology readings, birth time rectifications, rune readings. And I do also have this program right here. It's called 12-Step Codependence Recovery Program. And that's on my Patreon. So patreon.com/GeboTheShaman. If you are codependent or identify as such, then you can use that program to really heal and evolve and transform yourself. And the 12 steps are the like best things for spiritual and psychological transformation in your life. They really have helped me, and they are helping the people that I sponsor and the people that I know who have done them, and they're becoming enlightened and healing from all kinds of things. So it's wonderful. Alright, guys, so love y'all. Go visit those sites. Go check out the links down below and in the description as well. Those really are good links. So go check them out, and we will talk to you next time. Alright? Peace. Have a good one.